right. Hello, my friends. Is this choppy? Like, is this choppy as all heck? Because it probably is. Yeah, I am so sorry if it is. Or you guys might be seeing this. Yeah, it's choppy. Let me know if you guys can hear me or if the audio is also choppy. The reason why it is so freaking choppy right now is because we are uploading a video of our fridge mildly dying for our service technician to see. So we're just going to talk. We're just going to change plans. No big deal. Okay? Just, do a little swerve, okay? And yeah, you guys, audio is perfect. Okay, so it's just the video that's choppy. All right. We're going to leave it at that. You guys are going to get lovely 10 frames per second Joanna while the audio is beautiful. Okay, audio is great. Okay, well, I hope you guys don't mind some scuffy, chopped up, conversation, as we do here. So what's happening is our fridge is making very ominous clicking sounds. And so we had to film that, and we are uploading it right now. So it is absolutely eating up our upload right now. Hence why this is so choppy. So I think I might keep this particular stream a little bit on the shorter side. I would like to end in an hour. So I'm so sorry if you guys were looking forward to spending a much longer time together. There's just been a lot of kind of like surprise things happening, surprise chores, surprise adult responsibilities. Those of you guys who are adults will totally understand. Sometimes it just be that way, and you can't really get mad about it because that's just going to make the anxiety even higher, So this is just one of those situations where we're doing what we can. Oh, the error went away. So it looks like we might be kind of heading back to something that's a little bit more smooth. Probably soon. I don't know. The error went away at least. Let me know when you guys notice that things are looking smoother. Okay? Just let me know when that happens. For now, I'm going to say hi to everyone. Charlie, hello. Hans, Felipe, Rhonda, hello. Megan, hello. Welcome back. Kitty Cat Rose, welcome back as well. Cranky Goldfish, welcome back. Hello. How are you guys doing? Yeah, you guys understand? Yeah, you guys understand. You guys like the stop motion? It's beautiful, isn't it? Hey, Bill, welcome back. No, it is not screwy because you showed up. It's not that at all. We are uploading a video for our fridge service technician. And it had to happen right now, guys. It had to happen because it's Friday, it's Memorial Day weekend, and we need to get the video to them as soon as possible. So, hey, Michael, how are you? Sorry, I missed your name. Okay, so let's see. So Charlie, you don't have a swab for your flute, but as you discovered yesterday, a cloth wrapped around your Apple Pencil fits really nicely. That's great. I like that that you say that this instrument doesn't need a lot of maintenance. I do have to agree. Like I really just rely on the annual maintenance, COA as it is called, clean, oil, and adjust, and that's basically it. Honestly, I think it's also because I don't really leave the house, and with my flute, that is. And so there are not a lot of chances for things to happen to my flute. I'm also primarily a teacher and a content creator, so I don't actually play the flute as much as a like performing, like a gig artist would. So, you know, Lon, hello, how are you? Arya, hello, welcome back. The flute you got is awesome. Congratulations. I remember you telling us about that. Great, great. Wow, Michael, you were able to try 8 flutes. That's fantastic. Let's see. So Kitty Cat, I guess, let's see. Your day honestly could be better. I'm guessing you're talking about your day. You had some chiropractor appointments, found out your spine is in pretty bad shape. Oh, I'm so sorry. Whenever we get up there, there it is. We're going full stop motion again. Oh, yeah. Well, we got the error again. This whole stream might end up just being talking, guys. Hope you guys don't mind. We just, sometimes when you're an adult and you have to deal with life just throwing lemons at you, you just have to catch those lemons and make lemonade, okay? You just gotta change course. It's okay. You can get back to normal life after. But yeah, I just want to say I understand the feeling of getting really bad medical news. It can be very crushing, and I just want you to know that it's okay. You will learn how to deal with it. You know, like, but allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you feel right now. Acknowledge your feelings. Don't bottle it up. Do not bottle it up. Okay. I'm glad that, you know, you are acknowledging, you know, like how, you know, like you said that your day could be better, you know? So like, I'm glad you're acknowledging that, and we're here to support. Yeah, I really get it. I really get it. We are coming up to the 3-year anniversary of John's skin exploding. So I am preparing an update. But this update is, if anything, is going to be a reflection of my experience caregiving. And so we have very, you know, a very deep experience of dealing with, like, you know, how do you navigate a diagnosis. So yeah, just want to say that we get it. We get it, and we're here for you. So, Lon, you are good. You bought a Step Up flute. Tell us the brand, make, model. We would love to celebrate with you and absolutely nerd out with you. Yes, everyone. I'm so glad. It looks like Lon got a new flute. Or is it Lan or Lon? I keep going between the two. Can you let me know in the comments in the chat, how to pronounce your name? Because Arya got a flute, Lan got a flute. I think quite a few other people also got flutes in here, right? Like fairly recently, I think. So Michael, they let you try out a Yamaha flute. Somehow you could get all the low notes right away. That's great. That's great. So Charlie, you were saying you're assuming that I'm classically trained. You assume correctly. Were there any other genres that I found difficult to pick up? It's not so much difficult to pick up as much as I refuse to be. I know this sounds weird, but I don't really want to find out how jazz works. And it's because I enjoy it so much. I personally found that understanding the intricacies of how classical music works has somewhat dulled my enjoyment of it, because my brain just goes into work mode and it goes into analytical mode. When I listen to jazz, especially smooth jazz, even if there's a flute playing, my brain does not go into work mode. Like, my brain does not go into an analytical mode. And so I don't know if I would find it difficult to pick up, for example, the genre of jazz. But I find myself reluctant to try and figure it out and to try and, pick it up. It's because it's kind of like one of my few genres of instrumental music that still remains magical to me. There's like there's something magical about like music that you don't understand, so I haven't really tried other genres either, and I think it is because of this same fear. I'm just going to call it what it is. It's a fear. It is a fear of destroying the magic. So it's not so much, I don't know how difficult it would be for me, because I'm reluctant to do so. Charlie is saying skin exploding. Yes. So if you want to look it up, just because I don't want this conversation to derail so far into that, it's an.org. Let me see if I actually, do I have give me a sec. I'm going to look at my custom commands in Nightbot and see if I have a TSW. I do. Okay, let me do this. There we go. I'll let my bot send you a link about the condition that my husband has been going through for the last few years. But there you go. That is it. Topical steroid withdrawal. Felipe, you also just bought a Gemeinhardt flute from the Flute Center. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Okay, Bill, can you ask a nerdy beginner question? Absolutely. And while you pose your question, I am going to change the title of today's stream to Chat With Me. Okay, and we're going to call it Stop Motion Joanna. Stop Motion Joanna, Stop Motion Chatty Joanna. Because when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. All right? That is what we're calling today's stream. Okay, save. We're just chatting today. We're just chatting today, guys. Okay. So Kitty Cat, your good news is that you're going to be going to physical therapy regularly, and you're continuing your new pro flute hunt. Fantastic. If I may give you some absolutely unsolicited advice, if you haven't already, please let your physical therapist know that you are a flutist. That can greatly inform them as to how to help you. So in some cases, I have had some students actually straight up show their physical therapist how they play the flute. Oh, sorry, there's just so much going on right now. My phone just went off. I need to mute that really quickly. Give me a sec. Just gonna mute it real quickly. Mute. Okay, wonderful, cool. Okay, all right. So Bill, what is your question? I can see that you have not typed it yet. Bill, what is your question? Please ask your nerdy beginner question, because someone else probably has the same question. Lon, you got the Trevor James copper alloy flute. Twinsies! I have it too. It's my backup flute. Your first big boy purchase. Congratulations. So Lan is short for Landon. Okay, did I say that correctly? It is Landon, right? Okay, I'm gonna say Lan now. Volmir, hello, welcome, good evening, all the way from Brazil. Wow, that is crazy. So Cranky Goldfish, you visited Flute Center from Australia. Am I reading that correctly? Whoa, you bought a pearl head joint, can't wait to play it, but it's having a COA. Patience, it's gonna come to you so beautifully. Oh my gosh, congratulations. Hello, Henry. Hello, hello. How are you? Let's see. Oh, Kitty Cat has some great recommendations for people that if you want to get into jazz, jazz standards are a good place to start. And look into a jazz fake book. Yes, yes, yes. It's like the Bible for jazz standards. Yes, that is what I hear. Yes, yes, yes. Your physical therapist, chiropractor is actually flutist too. Oh, yes, that is perfect. She gets it. You could not be in better hands. That is fantastic. Oh, that is fantastic. So Hans, as a classical musician, you understand the whole hesitation to try other genres. You consider yourself fairly well-rounded as a musician, as you've done church music as well. I have also done church music as well. Mostly what I've done is like 2000s praise music type of sound. You know, for those of you guys who go to church, you guys might know that there's a very specific sound. It's like the Christian rock sound, you know? So I did that for a few years here and there in a few churches. Let's see. Oh, very okay. Yeah, I hope you get to try bass flute sometime, Michael. That would be really fun. Oh, okay. How are we doing? Looks like we might be smooth again. Are we smooth again? I think we are. Stream is healthy as of 4 minutes ago. Okay, let me know what you guys think. Can you guys, for those of you who are only listening, I would ask you just this once to please look at your screen and ask me if things look smooth. You can look away after, but just let me know. Type it in the chat if this looks smooth now. And if so, I might actually do some playing for fun. But if you guys have more stuff to talk about, I'd be happy to just chat with you guys. Very good video now. Okay, Christine, hello. What are the jazz standards? I don't know. Anyone who does know, please put it in the chat for Christine, and make sure you @ Christine so that Christine can see her name highlighted. So yeah, if you guys know some good jazz standards, please put them in the chat. Let's see. So Hans, jazz is a genre you've always been interested in but hesitant to try. As a saxophonist, you feel some jazz musicians would consider it blasphemy that you do classical music on sax. That is hilarious. That is absolutely freaking hilarious, because I would say that, you probably know this, I would say that in many classical circles, it's like the opposite is also true. That if you're a classical player and then you like defect to jazz, a lot of times you're seen as a dirty traitor. There are some cases where people have absolutely excelled in both, but they are fairly rare, I would say. As in, like, both sides are like, yeah, they're great. But, like, unfortunately, I personally feel that is completely unfounded. But unfortunately, I have noticed that the general the general vibe is that like it's very separated and segregated. I wish it wasn't, because I really enjoy jazz, and so, but for me, I just feel like I don't want to destroy the magic behind jazz for myself. I might change my tune later. Okay, I have eaten my words before. For example, I was trying never to put in plugs, and now look, I've put in a plug in my right hand ring finger key because I just cannot be bothered anymore, you know? So I might change my tune in the future. Just putting it out there. Disclaimer: people can change. All right. But for right now, I just don't want to. I'm very hesitant to like really dip my toes into other genres. You know, I want to enjoy them, you know, without my brain going into work mode. So Bill, Armstrong 104 early. You know how to adjust, and I think that might be a typo, and I can't think of what word you're trying to type there, but no leaks. You can play low F sharp, great. F and sometimes E. E is airy. Right hand all the way down, left hand you hear pitches when you pop the keys. I'm sorry. I don't think I can diagnose based off of that what is happening. You're probably better off showing a flute technician, just straight up, maybe even just handing your flute over to a flute technician for them to see what might be happening. So, okay, smooth video. Hey, wonderful. Thanks, guys, for letting me know. Unsphered, hello. Hello. You fell asleep. Did you have a good nap? Hope you had a good nap. There's so many cool pieces for classical pieces for sax. Yes, there are. There really are. So Bill, when you blow the low D, C sharp, and C, you hear the overtones. Only at this for 2 weeks. Does it sound like you're on the right track? I'm from that description alone, that's not enough for me to know whether it sounds good or not. You probably actually need feedback from a teacher. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's not enough of a description. Someone actually needs to hear you and give you feedback. Let's see, Hans, one of your favorite memories from last year is playing sax as part of a church band one Sunday. Oh, that sounds so fun. Let's see. Australian exams include jazz pieces. That is very cool. AMEB. I have not heard of this this particular it looks like it's like a music program curriculum type thing, kind of like ABRSM. So AMEB, is that right? AMEB. Australian Music Examinations Board. Yep. I guess it is the Australian version of like RCM, ABRSM, etc. Very cool. I learned something new. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Regulate. Okay. Yeah, Bill, that description is not enough for me to make a decision of whether or not you're doing it well. You need to play it for a professional to actually hear you, to give proper feedback. I don't want to guess in that regard. Sometimes when you guys give me a description and it matches something that I'm very, very familiar with, like maybe it's a very common issue, then I will offer suggestions. But in this case, it sounds more like you are asking to see if you're leaking or if the actual tonal quality is good. Because what you hear is not necessarily what a professional would hear, right? So a lot of times it takes a little bit of time for your ear and your muscle memory, one, to kind of like meet each other, because most people's ears will get sharper faster. You'll hear more and more impurities in your sound the more you practice. And but the muscle memory will take a longer time to catch up to what you can hear. So for a lot of people, you'll end up sounding worse and worse and worse in the beginning, but it's really only because you're hearing more and more impurities in your sound. But to your teacher, if you play for your teacher, you might notice your teacher like every week or every other week, depending on how often you see them. You might notice them say, "Hey, great, you're sounding better," and you're like, "Nah, I'm sounding worse." But in actual fact, you may actually be sounding better, but you're just hearing more impurities. So you see how like you're probably also developing your ear for specifically the flute. I know that you mentioned before that you have experience on other instruments, but for specifically the flute, your ear will probably get sharper, faster, right? And I'm not sure where you are in that because I'm not your teacher. So in this case, you do actually need to seek someone like a professional to and pay them, a lesson to, as you all know, your experience with this. So you do need to get a professional opinion on how you sound. So whenever it comes to tonal quality, that's something that I usually will like stay away from answering like blind like this. However, if you're feeling like, certain resistances or there's like a specific note that I am familiar that all flutes have trouble with, or etc., something like that. If there's sort of like a common denominator amongst all flutes sort of issue, then that I will address. In your case, it sounds more specific to your playing. And so anything that is specific to your playing needs to have a professional opinion. The professional opinion actually listening to you play, preferably in real life, especially if you're a beginner. So, yeah. I hope that was an adequate explanation. Yeah. So Felipe is asking, do you like the Latin jazz music of Nestor Torres? I've never heard of them. I do like Latin jazz, though. I do like it when I hear it. Yeah. Oh, there's an Iberic Concertino da Camera for saxophone. That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Great. So, okay. So Bill, you are agreeing that it's tonal. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I'm glad you understand. I knew that you would, but if anything, I was trying to because, this is not just a conversation between us two, right? It's everyone who's watching here. So I figured that the rest of you guys might be interested to know my inner thoughts about why I'm able to blindly answer some questions and why there are other questions that I can't. So yeah, if it's a common denominator issue that I noticed amongst a lot of people, those ones I can answer pretty readily. But I can't answer questions that are very specific to the player. Yeah. So tonal quality being one of them. So there you go. Ooh, you got thunder now in Sphered. Okay, so Lan, you have a question. How do you structure your practice session? When you're in music school, you had a hard time trying to figure out if you should work on scales, rep, orchestra rep, music theory, because then it came to you focusing on rep, and then your orchestra rep fell behind, and so on and so forth. Lan, I have to tell you, I had the exact same experience. Right now, because I've been out of school for so long now, I have had the time to develop a practice routine that works for me, and a practice routine that works for me because I'm not preparing for a specific concert. I'm not preparing for, a show or anything like that. Really, I am practicing for my own personal development to make better content for you guys, because I need to be on the ball and still be like, I have to play up to professional standards. And also, it's professional development for teaching as well. So, but beyond those, like beyond creating content and teaching, I don't have to rush to prepare for anything. So that affords me a lot of time for self-exploration, for, just kind of figuring myself out. And so over time, what I realized was I I felt that there was just such a huge, like, I felt a lot of mental labor every time I would come into a session and be like, what do I practice now? So I just kind of started with what I give my students, because, it's sort of a practice what you preach type of thing. So I always tell my students, you want to practice a little bit of harmonics because that helps you get to know the flute itself. You want to do some long tones because, again, it's sort of like a get to know your flute, but also get to know your own body. And then you want to do some sort of technique as sort of like somewhat developing your own skills, but also a little bit of maintenance. And then you want to focus on some piece of repertoire that it could be an etude, it could be like, just a piece that you've been wanting to study. So I was like, I'm just going to practice what I preach, and I'm just going to start with that. So I created this kind of list. And what's really kind of funny for me was that I didn't create the list because I was trying to make myself better. It was more that I felt so scattered that I felt like I needed something like a list to keep me focused, and then what I discovered from coming back constantly and just doing this checklist was that it felt a lot like working out, because working out is basically the same thing. You have sets of different types of exercises that you're doing. You have reps. So you have like a certain maximum number of reps that you do per exercise, and you just keep coming back to it. And I was like, like my practice sessions are feeling more and more like workout sessions, and the really nice part about it is that I don't really have to think about what I need to practice that day. So I was like, this is really nice. And then as I kept streaming my practice sessions, I was like, okay, for people who are dropping in the middle of the stream, they don't know what I'm practicing and why, right? So I was like, okay, for the people who are dropping in the middle, this is why I have this. So you guys can see that I have a practice schedule there. This is what was supposed to be on for today, but we're making lemonade today, okay? So, or metaphorical lemonade. So I just highlight which one I'm on so that whoever's jumping into the stream at any given time will know what I'm practicing. And you can just sort of follow along, and it helps mitigate a lot of questions in the chat. That's like, oh, what's she playing? Why is she playing it? Why is she practicing it? It mitigates a lot of those questions because, you can clearly see what I am practicing. But the side effect of that was that again, it just helped me focus even better, because now that I have a written down checklist, not just a mental checklist, it alleviated the mental labor even more. And so I was like, oh wow, this is actually really, really nice. And so I started to more consciously treat my practicing like working out. So when you work out, you don't do the exact same thing every single day. Okay, so especially if you are, for example, lifting weights. So you will have an upper body day, you will have a core day, you'll have a lower body day, and you'll do some sort of rotation of those different body parts, right? So that's actually what I do within my practice sessions. Again, I'll go back to here. So you'll see that I've listed exactly what I am practicing, on any given day. I never do the same Moïse de la Sonorité. I always move on to the next thing. So I always essentially pick up after where I last left off. What this does is that the type of exercise is the same as what I was doing yesterday, but the
the exercise itself is slightly altered. So for example, it's a slightly different articulation, or it is literally just the next exercise, the next numbered exercise, but it's really like along the same lines. It's the same type of exercise. So that's a great way to trick your brain into thinking that you are practicing something different, without actually practicing something different. Like it keeps developing the same skills. And then Moise 480 exercises, you're supposed to do 12 of them in a single day. I ain't got that time, so I only do one. I mean, Moise doesn't know. And I'm still reaping the benefits of consistently practicing some technique every single practice session. All right. And then for the Iber is just the one that got away from me in university. So this is my way of kind of like figuring it out, you know? And I will always do these drills in a slightly different order. So even though I am focusing on the recapitulation of movement 3, on one session, I will, take large sections in chronological order. The next day, I will do those sections in backwards chronological order. And that, again, just tricks my brain into thinking that I'm doing something different. And then I have my fun thing. So I always make sure I do a fun thing, because you also want to nurture just your pure love for the instrument and for music. So this keeps my love for the flute up, Genshin Impact. But yeah, it just kind of was organically evolved from being like, maybe I should practice what I preach to my students. And it just kind of evolved over time into this practice checklist that constantly evolves. It constantly keeps doing like something, like a similar thing day after day, but you are developing the same exact skills. And I would say approximately once every 3 or 4 months or so, I usually go through some sort of self-evaluation where I'm like, okay, what's the, have I honed this skill or these skills that these exercises and this repertoire is demanding of me, right? If I have, then I will think about what is the next skill that I want to hone, because maybe some other problem has come up and I want to explore it. Something like that. Or, let's switch to a different etude, switch to a different piece. And then, but sometimes the answer is no, I need a little bit more time. So I will just, let that be my self-evaluation, that I will continue exploring whatever it is that I'm exploring. And then, be it posture, breathing, etc. And then, again, I just kind of rinse and repeat. And then like, if I get to the end of like a book, if I get to the end of a large section in one of these exercise books, I will ask myself, like, do I want to move on to the next section? Do I feel like I have gained enough, skills from the section I just did? If I didn't feel like I gained enough skills yet and I would like to do it again, then I will rotate back to the beginning of whatever section of exercises that was. If I feel like I got enough skills, then I will move on to the next section, or I will find a different book or something like that. Essentially, you always want to be kind of like using something that allows you to sort of take the mental labor out of figuring out what to practice, So it is constant self-evaluation and constant gauging of what your needs are. Your needs will constantly change. And your curiosities will also constantly change. So, you will notice that like maybe in one part, in one phase of your practicing, you might not really care about your breathing, but then later on you're like, and I'm taking myself as an example, I'm wondering why my endurance sucks, right? And then after exploring endurance and stuff like that for like a few weeks, I discovered alongside you guys that it was my breathing that was causing my endurance to suck. So I ended up spending, I want to say somewhere around like 4 to 6 months, really doing like a deep dive in my breathing. So, it's just that constant self-evaluation, gauging, adjusting your practicing to like include things that will actually help you, but also make sure that your practicing does not stay exactly the same for every single session. Like you can do the same types of exercises, but you need to switch up the exercises, or else your brain will just feel like it's like Sisyphus rolling up the rock up the hill forever, like you're gonna get stuck in a rut, So anyway, that was my super long answer to your question, but it was a very good question. I still don't really know how to navigate a truly effective practice routine while you are actually in school. Since your question is about like the fact that you're now out of school, I felt that I was equipped enough to answer you about how I did it, right? Is this the only way to do it? Absolutely not. Like, I'm only one person, okay? But this is my experience, and hopefully you can, glean something from it. Yeah. Charlie thinks it's impossible to have a truly effective practice routine in music school. I did not want to be the one to say it because, let's be real, I'm still mildly young. Okay, I'm still mildly young. I'm in my mid-30s. So I understand that there's still a lot of life that I have not lived. And, I might have some insights in the future about how one could go about creating a very effective practice routine while in school. So I just don't want to give a definitive answer that you can't while you're in school. I think my answer right now is I don't know. I don't know how to have a truly effective practice routine while you're in school. What I had to do while I was in school, just so you guys can stare at my flute a little bit. There we go. What I had to do in school was always mark what was the most pressing thing. So it's basically I would practice in the order of what I could do the least. So like whatever I sucked at the most, I practiced the most. And so it was essentially like a priority list of number one being what I sucked the most down to whatever I could basically sight read perfectly, So I would spend my time constantly juggling what was the thing that I sucked at. That's how I did it while I was in school. And I think a lot of people do it that way. Thank you, Victor, for the reminder. I'll grab my water here. Bill, my long answer to you actually helped you. I felt like I gave you a non-answer. But I'm glad it helped. Let's see. Henry, Moise doesn't know. He's dead. Yeah. Kitty Cat, as a grad student, you can confirm it's kind of hard. There you go. That's how I felt in both my bachelor's and my master's. I just felt like it was just, my practice routine was literally practice what I can't play. And anything that I can just sight read, I just wouldn't practice. I didn't have time. I had no time. Yeah, you also have a priority list? There you go. So, I do agree with Cranky Goldfish about, because let's see, your Unsphered was asking how I get my high harmonics. The last two are a doozy. They are more air than sound. So one is you do need to have the like correct support. The other is that you have to figure out how your flute works. So you have to figure out where your flute wants to spin the air. in the mouth. Because if you try to like spin the air in the wrong part of your mouth, no matter how hard you blow into the flute, it will not want to come out. So in general, this is the common denominator thing that I can tell you guys. In general, the way flutes work is that, generally speaking, low notes tend to spin the air low and forward in the mouth. Now, how low and how forward is dependent on the flute. Vice versa for high notes. For high notes, you spin the air higher and further back. Now, this range of motion between the lowest notes and the highest notes can be kind of like very different between flutes. So, for example, the Northbridge flutes that I tried last fall, the range of motion was like this. Okay, so the lowest notes were like here, and then the highest notes was like the incline was very steep. Like my flute, for example, is more like this. So like I would say like my lowest notes are like here, and then my highest notes are like here inside the mouth. Okay, now Yamaha's are like this. Okay, so like your lowest notes are like around your teeth, if not very slightly behind sometimes. And your highest notes are like way in the back, like back of the roof of the mouth. So, but the general concept that low notes tend to ride low and forward and high notes tend to ride high and back, that's just how flutes work. Unless it is a flute-shaped object like the $100 ones that you get off of Amazon or eBay. Those ones just break all the rules, and that's probably why, it doesn't exactly encourage good flute playing. And the reason why I know this is because I did actually try one and somewhat review one while I was still on Twitch. Charlie, sometimes you wonder if going to music school is worth it. You think you would have rather used the tuition money to just get lessons and work. I know, right? I think for me, the way that I see it is that having the degrees has definitely given me that like the credit or like the stamp of approval that I am fully educated. Well, as fully educated as you can be in the absolute craziness that is music school, but it gives the kind of like official stamp of approval that you are educated in, like advanced high level professional music, classical music. So for me, it has absolutely helped my career, simply because I have the master's in flute performance. Not that I even auditioned for a master's in flute performance. I don't know if all of you guys know, but I actually auditioned for a master's in chamber performance, and it was switched to flute performance after I was accepted, because as it turns out, the school could not, they were very upfront about it with me. I love that they were so transparent. They were like, you know what? We made the mistake. We have accepted you into this chamber performance degree, but we do not believe that we can actually give you what would be expected of a chamber performance degree. So why don't we switch you to a flute performance degree, and we will allow you to take as many chamber music like ensembles and coachings and whatever as you want. So, we struck that deal and it was great. But, having that master's has definitely been such a great like stamp of approval. And it just kind of immediately, like, for example, working with the Flute Center, I would not be surprised if them knowing that I received a master's in flute performance, if that just, basically instills confidence in my abilities as their one of their influencers, right? So it's sort of like, it's a vote of confidence is really how it has affected my career. Now, is this the same for everyone else? No. Everyone, I think, has a very different experience with how useful a music degree is for them. So like it really kind of depends on where your life goes, you know. Everyone has a different experience and it's all valid, you know. For some people, yeah, I get it. For some people, music school was absolutely freaking completely worthless for them, okay? But like in my experience, it has been fantastically worth it. For me, I do make a lot of content about music school. I wouldn't be able to help you guys if I didn't go through it myself, you know? Like it, you know, there are a lot of things that I can give, you know, like my experience and my advice because I went through it myself. If I did not go through that, my whole channel just would not exist. I literally built my channel on vlogs of being in music school, you know? So for me, it mattered. But I get it. You know, for some people, it doesn't. And that's okay, you know? Bill, a non-answer is really an answer with more possibilities for learning than a definitive answer. That is such a sweet thing to say. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. So the pink flute, Jenny remembers. Fluteberry remembers. Yes, and it made me sick. You guys remember it. It made me break out. It made me break out, and it made me like, it actually caused postnasal drip for me. It was like a horrible allergic reaction that I had to it. And I think it was either to the enamel or to the metal. I haven't really figured out. Since it was here, though, I have a feeling it was to the metal itself. You want to turn your Amazon flute into a lamp, do it up. Just make sure you're not allergic to it. That's all. Yeah. Hey, Jody, how are you? More water. Okay, I got it. Okay. I do see Jackie's question here. Have I only recently experimented using a plug, and what made me make the change? Good question. I have talked about this in a few of my most recent streams, but this is a chatty stream, so let's chat. I have just been resisting putting a plug in there, but you know what? Look at my finger. Do you see how thin my ring finger is? Okay. I have been fighting just the physical fact that my finger is too thin. So every time I reach to the foot joint keys, my finger is literally too thin to stay on and cover the plug, or cover the hole, that is. The straw that broke the camel's back was when Just Another Flute Guy, also known as Nicholas Flute, the maker, I'm going to keep plugging it, the maker of this beautiful CAM.VOYAGE flute swab that I absolutely swear by now. I think there's a link to it in the description below if you guys want to get your own. Let me see. Is there? Yes, it's below. Okay, so if you guys want to get your own, CAM.VOYAGE, okay? But so the maker of this, he's a regular in the chat, and he told me that his professor, he just graduated from his master's. He just told me that his professor also has it plugged. And I just met another professional flutist last summer who also had it plugged. I've just been hearing more and more, especially female professional flutists plugging that hole, because you just get to a point where you realize you are causing yourself tension, and you are causing yourself pain, and you are causing yourself to literally play slower and less cleanly. If you just plug it, you will have better posture, you will play faster, you will have less tension. It's kind of a win-win-win-win-win situation. Also, if I didn't show you guys, so let's say that I was just performing for you guys, y'all can't see it. No one can see it. No one cares. So I figured if ever I want to actually slide off of that key to do little pitch bends and stuff, I'm just going to pop the plug out for that one song. Other than that, it ain't worth it. I've just decided, you know what? I've just reached that age where I don't care anymore. I just don't care.
You know? Good question, though. I hope that answered your question. Unsphered, you think that was the most deadly Christmas gift you ever given someone? The flute-shaped object. I enjoyed it though. Weirdly enough, I kind of enjoyed getting really mad during that stream. I got so mad. It was great. Let's see. Unsphered. So you have to have 2 plugs in yours because your fingers have been broken and don't like bending anymore. See? There you go. Don't fight it, guys. Cranky, your teacher got you to take your plug out. You also have narrow fingers and you're working on your hand position. Yeah. I don't know what to say to that because I literally just told you that my fingers are too narrow and I just don't care anymore. Like, after hearing that these beautiful flute players, these beautiful top level professional flute players also plugged their ring finger key, I'm like, why am I holding on to this? Why am I holding on to this stupid pride? I don't have to. No one cares. In fact, I'm going to play more cleanly and better and with a better posture with it plugged. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was when Nicholas came into the chat and told me that his professor, who I've been listening to like on Instagram and stuff, she plays beautifully and she's just, she's fantastic. And he was like, yeah, she has her ring finger plugged. And I'm like, what? I didn't know that. I didn't notice. Then why am I holding on to this? You know? Yeah. Yeah. You noticed yesterday on my Instagram. I'm glad that I didn't even realize that. I didn't even realize that you guys could see that. I'm really glad that I accidentally showed that off on Instagram. I would love to make it more normal for people who have small hands and narrow fingers. I have the double whammy. It's okay to just plug it. No one cares. Doesn't matter. There are many more important things in life than ruining your hand with tension. You know? So Charlie, I saw that you're asking a good question. You're going into student teaching this fall. What common problems or fundamentals should you focus on for your beginning flute students? You may want to look into, or I would say probably the amount of air to blow into the flute is the most common misconception, and the angle at which to do it. So personally for me, I have found that to teach a beginner, and I have not taught a beginner for a while because it is a prerequisite for my online studio that you have studied with an in-person teacher for at least 1 year before you come to see me. And it is precisely for the reason that I'm about to give you. So I have personally noticed that the best, most effective way for me to teach beginners, if no one has COVID and we're all clean and stuff and we wash our hands afterwards, okay? If you take their hand and you put it up to your face and blow on it, and then you get them to do the same thing to their own hand and mimic what your airstream felt like, they essentially will teach themselves how much air to blow and at what angle to do it at. And then if you give them the flute to play in my experience, it's been fantastic back when I used to teach in person. And that is something that I cannot do online. Especially if this beginner is going into the flute with absolutely no experience. The amount of air to blow, the consistency of that airstream, and the angle at which that air comes out is a freaking mystery to beginners. But all those things can be solved by just blowing on their hand and getting them to blow in your hand. So that's how I used to do it. So hopefully that will help you out. Um, oh man, Kitty. So your fingers are double jointed and your right pinky likes to lock up when you try to change between the foot joint keys. So you're looking for flutes with the D sharp rulers. You may also want to look for flutes with also the C sharp ruler. I have noticed that that really helps people who need a little bit more help rolling around. Try to see if you can get a flute that has both D sharp ruler and C sharp. Because you are on the hunt for a pro flute, right? So if you're on the hunt for a pro flute, this usually is something that you can get customized onto your flute. So yeah, highly recommend if you can go looking for that. The other thing that I've been experimenting with some students is using those arthritic finger splints. So you can get some really like cheap plastic ones. You can also get really beautiful sterling silver ones, and that can help your fingers not lock up. Some people find it really comfortable. Some people find it very uncomfortable. So you have to kind of see if it works for you. It's been a lifesaver for some, and for other people, they're just like, this is so uncomfortable. So it's kind of a toss-up 50-50, but that may be something that you want to look into because that can sort of like hold your fingers for you so that they don't lock up. Yeah. You've tried the D-sharp, C-sharp rollers and you're a big fan. Yeah. See if you can get that. I'm glad that you've tried it before. Yeah. Your sense of humor says, I can drive my car with 3 wheels, but I'm not going to swear because I know that there are, minors watching this, but darn, I'm going to put a 4th tire on the thing. Why fight it? Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying, right? Right, Bill? Let's see. The C-sharp roller is available on Miyazawa and Sankyo. Excellent. Let's see. That's so interesting, Jackie. On your flute, your low C sharp is just a roller instead of the more typical key. I've never seen that before. What brand is it? I'm very curious. If you don't mind typing it into the chat for us. I'm so interested. Wow. You might need to try one of those for bagpipes. You mean are you talking about like the finger splints? You might want to like, so for anyone who like has like trouble with their fingers like locking up or stuff, or like your thumb like collapses and stuff like that, you might want to look into finger splints. Yeah, it's kind of a hit or miss though, so I'm not going to guarantee that it's like your magic pill, but it might be. You might love it, you might hate it. That is kind of the experience that my students have had for now. Hey, Sean, how are you? Welcome back. Jackie, it's your vintage Haynes. Yes, you're right. I think I have actually like seen pictures of flutes where that C-sharp key is a roller. Yes, it is on the vintage ones. I do wish that they made that an option for the modern ones too. Although I would imagine if you threw enough money at a technician, they could potentially make one for you. Will it be exceedingly expensive? Probably. But, some people might like a challenge. Not every technician will want to do it, but some might. You're welcome, Charlie. I hope that you'll have a lot of fun, really. I think my experience teaching beginners was just so eye-opening. It was like it made me question everything I knew about the flute. Like, you're suddenly put in a position where you have to explain how to play the flute. And there are a lot of things you realize you take for granted. And so, I think that's why I find teaching exhilarating, because it constantly challenges me. It constantly challenges me to rethink how I'm actually doing things. It calls into question a lot of the things that I do. And while I know that for a lot of people that would make them really uncomfortable, I love it. I live for it. I live to be challenged. I live for that internal, like, in that internal battle where you wrestle with yourself and you come out a stronger person. You know, you change your mind on things, you learn like what actually works versus what is your perspective, because your perception is not everyone else's perception. You know, I really love it. I think that's why I like reviewing flutes. I think that's why I like teaching. I think that's why I like doing this type of thing, chatting with you guys, hearing your thoughts, you know, streaming my practice sessions. I think at the bottom of it, I just really like a challenge. And I get really bored if I'm not challenged. So, yeah. You just noticed that the Nouveau has a C sharp roller? I think you're right. Yeah. I would imagine that it is very nice switching from low C to C sharp, or low C sharp to C, that is, if that C sharp key is a roller itself. Yeah. You haven't had an in-person instructor for the flute. If you can, get yourself that instructor for a year. The way I see it, a year is going to pass anyway. You know? So if you want lessons with me, do your thing. Just do it. I've actually had several students realize that they, like potential students, that turned into my actual students. They realized upon reading my requirements that they needed to take in-person lessons. And I've actually had several students actually take in-person lessons locally before switching to me. So tons of people have done it. A year is going to pass anyway. Also, a year passes really quickly. So, you know, like, I'll be here. Unspirit is one. Yep. Yeah, I actually have a lot of students who took in-person lessons for a year before they came to see me, and in fact contacted me, letting me know, giving me a heads up that that is what they were doing. So it's great. Yeah. Charlie is absolutely right. Be very, very sure about what you want out of a teacher before you commit. Absolutely. In fact, that is actually one of the topics that I broach in my first lessons with people. So whether it be a trial lesson or just the first lesson, one of the things that I ask students is like, what do you want out of these lessons? And because I need to know if I can provide it. You know, like, I need to know, like, is this, like, if there is a dream of how you want these lessons to go, I need to know if I can rise to the challenge. So, you know, it's really true. You have to be on the same page as your teacher. If you're not on the same page with your teacher, things can get real dicey. You know, conflicts and just, you know, their expectations won't match yours, and miscommunication happens, and it's a bad time, you know? Yeah. Like, oh no, Unspirit. Oh no. Oh, that's a feels bad. Yeah. So, like, I think for me, I teaching is really my main thing. Teaching is my main gig. And so, you know, I won't go into teaching someone without a full knowledge of what they want our lessons to be.
if you go into teaching without knowing what the student actually wants, the lessons are going to be very kind of like wishy-washy and directionless, and there might also be kind of like a tug-of-war kind of feel too, because maybe the student will be pushing to go in one direction while the teacher is pushing to go in another direction, and that can be a very unfortunate source of conflict. So yeah. Now, Charlie makes a good point that the way that you guys see it, and I would say that the way that most people see it these days is that we as teachers are being paid for a service. Now, this is the way I see it. This is why I pose that question of like, what do you want our lessons to be like? Like, what is your dream lesson like? What direction do you want to go with these lessons? Because I need to know whether I can actually provide this service. However, I would say that in a lot of traditional circles, traditional classical music circles, it's not really seen that way. It's more seen as like a master student, master apprentice, sensei, sifu type of relationship. So it's very top-down authority. Which is a very different dynamic than customer and service provider, right? Like those are two very different interpersonal dynamics. And so if you're not on the same page as the other person, miscommunication up the wazoo is going to happen. So I also am trying to make it clear to my incoming students that I am providing them a service. And I am not sensei. I am, even though technically that means teacher, but I am not like, I will not do top-down authority. I will not do it. The only time I will do it is if the student is going down a path that I think is unhealthy for them. That is the only time I will put down my foot. So anytime that I think a student is about to hurt themselves, be it mentally or physically with how they are playing the flute, that is the only time I will put my foot down. Any other time, I see this as a service that I am providing. So, it's at the bottom of it, it is a difference in how you view it. Now, if you enter a student-teacher dynamic where you do see your teacher as like sensei, master, their word is law, you just want to follow them. You just want them to tell you what to do. You're going to have a great relationship. Okay, like if they also see it that way, right? Like you have to have both people seeing it the same way for that dynamic to work. If both people are not on the same page, that is why that dynamic does not work. So clearly I've been thinking way too much about this to have a ready response for that. But I have given that a lot of thought. I've been thinking about it for probably 10 years now. And that is like, it's been a topic that has come up often enough that it's been sort of kind of simmering in the back of my mind for about 10 years now. And those are my thoughts. Let's see, Jackie, you've been looking at getting a wooden piccolo. It feels so much harder than finding your flute. Oh, I feel you. Are you looking at vintage piccolos as well? You found a Burkhart and you're interested in, but it's been a challenge. There's a lot out there. And one of the reasons that you may find piccolo shopping to be harder is because the piccolo is essentially the flute magnified. So any small changes that you make on the flute would be way more noticeable on a piccolo. Like it's magnified. So there are a lot of things that we can actually get away with on the flute where you'll still produce a very nice tone, but maybe not the most optimal tone, but like a pretty darn good one. On the piccolo, it would just sound bad, you know? So like, I personally, I have felt that the piccolo is way less forgiving, and that might be why it's so hard for you to find a piccolo, because like essentially the margin of error is very, very small on a piccolo. Like it actually has to fit you, you know? And you know, so you're not the only one. I completely agree with you. Shopping for a piccolo is feisty, to say the least. And you know, like whatever fits you, fits you. I made a video about my experience looking for a backup piccolo, and the like kind of weird comments that I got as a result. A lot of people were gobsmacked that I didn't try a pearl, you know. Pearls are beautiful, beautiful piccolos, beautiful flutes, but it just so happened to not be within my price range for a backup piccolo. And like, you know, so I matched a Dijau 102, I believe, that I wanted to be my backup piccolo. Wow, the response to that was very split, I would say. In the beginning was very split. Right now, I would say if you look at the comments, most people, it's started to skew now towards everyone's like, oh yeah, like the one that you picked, what worked for you. So, you know, I feel it. I hope you enjoyed your dinner, Michael. Vintage would be a perk, Jackie. Yes. Because like if you like vintage flutes, I feel like you would like a vintage piccolo. I feel like you would, you know. Yeah. You watch that piccolo video so much. So you know which video I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like you can really hear how like my mouth just agreed way more with the Dijau 102 more than the other other piccolos, right? Like it's much like the difference in how I played is much more stark amongst different piccolos than it is amongst different flutes. So like really whatever you do, whatever minute little like changes that you do in your mouth and stuff like that with your lips, with where you're resonating notes and stuff like that, those tiny changes make a huge difference on a piccolo. Yeah. You remember when it came out? Wow, you are a longtime viewer. So I did actually make a, you probably saw it, but I did make a follow-up video to that earlier this year where I finally came right out and admitted that I traded it in for my Nagahara. And of course, I had to, you know, pay the balance. But yeah, I did trade it in for my Nagahara. And like, you know, it's it was really just for my mental health, because like I couldn't really look at that piccolo without it reminding me like what the response was to that video. So like I'm glad it's not in my hand anymore. Yeah. How old is vintage versus antique? I do not think I am equipped to answer that question accurately. Personally, for me, when I'm thinking of like vintage, I am thinking exactly what Jackie put here. Is about 20 plus years. I think for me, I actually think of vintage as even older than that. But yeah, antique for sure is 100 plus, right? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jackie sounds like she knows what she's talking about. So yeah, we'll go with that. But there you go. There you go. I feel you. Your experience is very valid, Jackie. Looking for piccolos is very finicky. Because yeah, it's just
there's not a lot of margin for error on the piccolo. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I just took a look at the time, and I am way past the time that I said that I was going to sign off. So I am going to start signing off now. Thank you all so much for joining me on today's practice session turned chatty session. I think I needed this. I think I needed this more than I needed to practice, because my brain was just going nuts, with the whole fridge clicking, menacingly, and there's a lot going on, guys. There's a lot going on. Yay, being an adult. So, I just want to say I love you all so very much. Please stay happy, healthy, and safe. Have a lovely long weekend if you are in the US. I will be taking Monday off. So I do plan on streaming around 3 times next week. I haven't really come up with a schedule quite yet. So I do need to do that right after this stream. So I think likely I will see you guys Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday for sure, because it is my internet birthday. So I don't like to give you guys my actual birthday, but the internet thinks, that is famousbirthdays.com, thinks that I am born on May 30th. So I've just adopted that as my internet birthday. So we're going to celebrate my birthday on Thursday. All right. So that'll be May 30th. And then I'm probably going to do a practice session on May 31st. So the sessions next week may have one that's like this. It might have to be the Friday. I'm not really sure, because I don't really know if I have time to prep for that stream on Tuesday. I might. So unsure. Don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I do want to do a Diza stream next week, though. So, yeah. But yeah, we'll be celebrating my birthday. I might do kind of like a sight reading fest again. I really miss doing that. So, yeah, that's what we have to look forward next week. I will make a little schedule right after this, so you guys have that to look forward to on Sunday morning. I always post it on Sunday morning. But yeah, love y'all so very much. Please stay happy, healthy, and safe, and I shall see you guys sometime on Tuesday, probably 4 p.m. Pacific. All right? Laters, guys. Take care of yourselves. There's no music without the musician. Goodbye.